Hey guys, it's Meya. Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for being part of this wild manhwa journey with me. Now, let's dive into today's story. In a realm untouched by mortal chaos, where floating mountains brushed the heavens and celestial rivers shimmered beneath a radiant moon, lay the heavenly realm, a sacred domain suspended between silence and power. High above this divine expanse, an ancient gazebo stood, veiled in mist and starlight. Within its heart, an old man laughed. It wasn't the laughter of a fool, but of one who remembered truths long buried in time. He stood beside a lotus-shaped vessel, its petals aglow with brilliant blue light. From its center pulsed a radiant energy, casting divine illumination across the marble floor. The old man peered into the vessel, as though reading a destiny only he could decipher. He murmured to no one in particular, perhaps to the gods themselves, questioning aloud what strange fate heaven had planned. He speculated about the illusions the celestial mirror might be weaving. Then with a knowing chuckle he spoke again, his voice dropping to a hushed tone. As he tapped the flowing surface of the mirror with his index finger, the image shifted, revealing a young boy huffing with effort. The boy's face was etched with resolve, his fist clenched tightly at his jaw. Suddenly, the glowing mirror flared with light, and a streak of neon brilliance shot forth. It surged downward, past mountaintops, trees, and clouds, until it hovered unseen above a martial arts arena. Below, a group of outer disciples stood gathered around a stone podium. 3 figures occupied the center. One of them, clearly the instructor, addressed the others sternly. As a foggy haze enveloped the scene, the light condensed and twisted into glowing words. "I've never seen such sloppy Tai Chi in my life." As he clicks his tongue. The signal connected with one of the young men on the podium, a boy gritting his teeth, his body poised in a martial stance. He responded aloud, though it seemed only he could hear the voice, "Sure, whatever, it's not all sloppy though, is it?" This marked the first appearance of the protagonist, an outer disciple of the Wudang sect named Yun Chungwon. The instructor's temper flared, veins bulging as he snapped at the boy. "What nonsense are you spouting, Yun Chungwon?" Yun turned, clearly confused. "What?" "Just focus on the spar," the instructor barked. Apologizing quickly, Yun turned back toward his opponent, sweat beading on his brow, teeth clenched, eyes brimming with determination. "I definitely heard something," he thought. "What was that?" The voice returned, calm and amused. "Oh my, you can hear me, huh?" Yun looked around sharply, startled. "Huh? Again?" he muttered, bewildered. His reaction drew strange looks, especially from his opponent, a third young man with vivid orange hair. The boy's face twisted in rage, and he bellowed, "Yun Chungwon." Clenching his fists, veins bulging across his forehead, the orange-haired youth roared, "Do you want me to beat even more sense into you? How dare you ignore me?" Without hesitation, he charged forward, fists raised, eyes flashing with fury. Yun, reacting instinctively, raised his arms to block. "I blocked it this time." But before he could finish the thought, the orange-haired boy grinned and struck low with blinding speed. "Whatcha doin', punk? You're open down here." Yun couldn't react in time. The blow landed hard, sending a shockwave through his body. For a moment, he saw double. The orange-haired boy sneered, fists clenched tightly as he declared, "Today." Yun winced, spittle escaping from his lips, chest clutched in pain as he bent forward. "You're going to die by my hands," the attacker finished. Thus appeared Yoon Sihu, another outer disciple of Wudang, though henceforth, he would be known simply as Orangey. Spectators from the outer sect watched from beyond the arena, smirking and whispering. "Yun Chungwon's getting his ass handed to him again," one remarked. A second laughed. "Well, considering he keeps challenging Orangey without any real skills, I guess his persistence is top-notch." No, a third chimed in. "It's his ability to take a beating that's impressive." The others chuckled in agreement. Down below, as fists rained down, Yun thought furiously, "I can hear you, you bastards. You think I'll just keep taking this, forever?" Gritting his teeth, he planted his feet firmly and charged, fists clenched, fury burning in his eyes. But Orangey dodged every strike with ease, his expression mocking. Yun's frustration peaked as his last punch missed completely. Then with a smirk, Orangey casually slipped a foot in Yun's path. Yun stumbled, skidding forward with a cry. Behind him, Orangey stood with his hands behind his back, grinning smugly. "I wonder how you even got accepted here," he said. Orangey continued to mock him. The likes of you, he sneered. The words hit a nerve. Yun Chungwon gritted his teeth and, voice shaking with fury, shouted back that he had come to the Wudang sect to get stronger, just like him. Without waiting for a reply, he charged again, fists clenched and determination blazing in his eyes. But Orangey, completely unfazed, dodged every strike effortlessly. He laughed, clearly amused. What's he on about now? Yun growled in frustration. Damn it. Still taunting, Orangey scoffed. What a joke. Then, with a sudden movement, he aimed a powerful kick directly at Yun's chin. Keep that goal for your next life, he snapped as the kick landed. The impact was brutal. Yun's body seemed to hang in the air for a second, as if defying gravity. Blood trickled from his nose as he crashed to the ground. The instructor, stunned, watched in silence as Yun passed out from the sheer force of the blow. Did he faint? Came a disembodied voice, echoing through the celestial mirror. The scene shifted back to the heavenly realm, where the old man continued watching through the glowing lotus basin. 2 disciples dragged Yun's limp body from the arena, while others merely stood by and watched. Against the backdrop of a starry sky, the voice continued its commentary. Watching him is so damn frustrating. He's got decent potential, but... The old man sighed, rubbing his beard thoughtfully. Is he not making progress because he doesn't know how to train properly? He wondered aloud, his gaze fixed on Yun's unconscious form reflected in the mirror, blood still staining his face. His face now visible for the first time, the old man peered into the mirror with concern. The scene transitioned to a tranquil mountain valley, where a squared training ground stood fenced off. Mountains and trees surrounded the structure, and buildings lined its perimeter. At the center lay the familiar arena, now bustling with activity as disciples trained under the morning sun. An instructor's voice rang out across the grounds. Extend your arms further. Focus. His tone was unmistakable. This was the same instructor from earlier. Amid the clatter of swords and cries of effort, Yun remained on the ground beneath the shade of a tree, dazed and still. As the others trained, he began to reflect. He thought, I always wanted to become a martial artist. His memories stirred. A younger version of himself tugged at the robes of an adult, gazing up in awe. They made me realize something, he continued internally. A person made of mere flesh and bone isn't meant to crawl forever. Visions of black-clad warriors flying toward each other with swords filled his mind. The sun's rays caught their blades as they clashed midair. Little Yun continued to stare up in wonder. That vague admiration from my childhood, it became envy, he recalled. And that envy became the driving force that led me to the Wudang sect. Another memory emerged, his teenage self standing before a large closed brown door, snow falling silently around him. But maybe I wasn't talented to begin with, he admitted. Back in the present, Yun lay beneath the trees with a faint smile on his lips. In the end, this is how I ended up. Hey you! Wake up! A voice yelled suddenly. Yun stirred, groaning. Just 5 more minutes. The voice shouted loudly. How can you sleep after getting the shit beaten out of you? A massive ghostly image of the old man's face suddenly appeared behind Yun, terrifying him into sitting bolt upright. Wakak, I'm sorry, he screamed. Nearby disciples flinched. Ah fuck, that scared me, one of them exclaimed. Yun Chungwon, what are you doing? Yun looked around in a daze. He wasn't the only one who'd been startled. The old man, observing from the celestial mirror, mused aloud, judging by his reaction, he can clearly hear my voice. Still bewildered, Yun asked the air, what was that? Am I the only one who heard it? As 2 disciples walked off, one of them muttered, what's the deal with him? Did he get beat up in his dreams too? The other joked. Yun, still processing everything, asked, is this telepathy? Telepathy, my foot, the old man snapped. Is there anyone here with that kind of skill? Yun asked again, then who are you? The old man chuckled. Me? I'm Zhang Sanfeng. Yun's eyes widened as he looked up at the nearby stone statue. What? The name was familiar, Zhang the Sloppy, ragtag Taoist, an eccentric sage who had treated emperors and commoners alike with equal irreverence. A legendary martial artist and philosopher, he was known for developing Taoist principles and founding the Wudang sect. Some even believed he had invented Tai Chi itself. You're that Zhang Sanfeng? Yun asked, stunned. Yes, that's right, the old man confirmed. Yun, now sitting cross-legged and pondering, responded, Ah. I see. Zhang Sanfeng, surprised by the calm reaction, raised an eyebrow. What's with that reaction? Don't you find this ridiculous? He looked down through the celestial mirror, beads of sweat forming on his brow. This guy's weird, he muttered. Yun's reflection appeared in the mirror, grinning. Well, he replied, isn't it better for something ridiculous to be happening than for me to actually be crazy? The old man blinked. What? Laughing, Yun continued, if I had to choose between something special and abnormal, I'd rather be someone special. Zhang stroked his beard, still amused. You've got to be quick to catch up with things if you want to improve in martial arts. Back on the ground, Yun was busy building a snowman using rocks and twigs. Looking up at the stone statue, he explained, talking to a giant stone head makes my neck hurt. His sentence trailed off as he focused on finishing the snowman's features. The old man looked again. Look at this punk. You sure are a fun guy. Facing the statue while sitting on a tree stump, Yun quipped, your way of talking is really cheap. As expected of the ragtag Taoist. Zhang Sanfeng beamed. I missed hearing that nickname. Just then, another disciple called out, Hey you. What are you doing? Come out, it's time to review our spars. He eyed Yun suspiciously. Who were you talking to, rocks? Yun looked up. Oh right. I'll be there soon. As the disciple walked off muttering about how weird Yun was, Yun dusted off his robes. He explained that review sessions were meant to assess performance during spars, but Yoon Sihu, aka Orangey, used them as excuses to hit him again and again. No, he thought, I don't want to run away. I'm not a coward. I want to win. I want to get stronger. Clenching his fist, he stood firm. Zhang Sanfeng chuckled. You seem to be in quite the pinch. I guess so, Yun admitted, marching forward with the snowman's head in his hands. Aren't you smiling a bit too brightly for someone in a pinch? Zhang asked. Holding the snowman's head too close to his face, Yun replied, maybe I'm just a strange guy. Don't you like strange things? Zhang leaned over the mirror, smiling. Of course not. I totally love them. The sky glowed above them, the old man's face shining through the clouds like a celestial specter. As Yun walked on, tossing the snowman's head up and down, he muttered, it weirdly feels like someone's shooting lasers at the top of my head. Back in the dojo, the same familiar scene unfolded. Yun Chungwon was once again being mercilessly beaten. A swift punch landed on his chin, knocking him off balance and sending him crashing to the ground, back first. Yoon Sihu, known by many as Orangey, stood tall and proud, a smug look on his face. The instructor barked across the room, Yoon Sihu. This session is meant to review the last duel. Refrain from direct hits. Still seated on the floor, Chungwon wiped the blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. He shot a glare at both the instructor and his opponent, thinking bitterly that it was just another empty warning. Orangey's strong connections within the sect gave him near total impunity. Even the inner disciples tread carefully around him. From the celestial mirror above, old man Zhang Sanfeng scowled. He muttered in frustration that the veiling hand elbow strike wasn't meant to be used with any preparatory movements. Trying to hit hard just tenses the body, reveals your form, and gets you countered. This won't do. Want to try doing it my way? He shouted toward the mirror's surface. Chungwon looked up, dazed but curious. How? Meanwhile, the instructor standing beside him shouted. Focus, Yun Chungwon, he said sternly. When you got hit just now, what basic move could you have used instead of the veiling hand elbow strike? Both fighters got into position again. Orangey smirked confidently, but Chungwon's face was resolute. Old Zhang's voice rang in his head. 6 ceilings and 4 closings. Startled, Chungwon blurted it out loud, almost involuntarily. 6 ceilings and 4 closings. Orangey gave a mocking grin. You want to use that move at this range? Seriously? What a dull head. Without warning, Orangey lunged. Zhang's voice shouted, he's coming. Give it a shot. Chungwon followed instinct, guided by the old master's voice. Press down and shift your weight. Zhang instructed. Chungwon did as he was told, managing to deflect the blow, though the force pushed him backwards. Plant your feet. Maintain balance. Zhang shouted again. Chungwon obeyed. Orangey launched into a mid-air flip, coming down with a powerful kick, but this time, Chungwon caught his leg mid-air. That's it. Zhang cheered. With both palms, Chungwon pushed forward, forcing Orangey to stumble back. Sensing an opportunity, he closed in. Zhang kept coaching, gauge the distance. Block all directions, front, back, left, right, up, down. Orangey, now visibly agitated, snarled. You rascal. I can't see anything. Chungwon's hands had disrupted his view completely. Zhang yelled, dynamic chi circulation. Don't think with your head, let it flow. A surge of chi pulsed through Chungwon's legs. He moved fluidly, dodging Orangey's retaliatory strike and countered with perfect timing. The outer disciples around the dojo gasped in disbelief. Even the instructor stared in awe. Chungwon's movements had suddenly become precise, natural and powerful. Yun Chungwon. Orangey roared, leaping into the air in one final attack. How dare you trick me with those moves? Before the strike could land, Chungwon placed both palms on Orangey's chest and using the momentum, spun him like a top. Orangey's body twisted mid-air, spinning so violently that he saw double. Zhang, eyes wide and veins bulging in anticipation, clenched his fists. Yes, that's it. Strike now. With a final push, Chungwon released Orangey, sending him flying through the air and crashing through the dojo wall. The crowd of outer disciples stared in stunned silence. Hey Yoon Sihu, are you okay? One finally asked. Yoon Sihu. Chungwon, now breathing heavily, looked at his hands in disbelief. A soft blue aura pulsed from his body. Was that really the 6 ceilings and 4 closings? He murmured. From the celestial realm, old Zhang beamed with pride. So? How was that? A wide grin stretched across Chungwon's face. That was fucking awesome, he shouted, eyes sparkling. Looking up at the ceiling, he laughed. That really felt like the 6 ceilings and 4 closings. Meanwhile, 2 disciples whispered among themselves. Has he gone crazy? One asked. He was talking to a rock earlier, the other added. Back in the heavenly realm, Zhang chuckled. I don't know why the heavens caused this, but tell me, do you want to learn martial arts from me? Through the celestial mirror, he extended his hand toward Chungwon's projection. Chungwon clenched his fist in salute. Yes, master, he declared. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting warm orange hues over the outer sect, a lone disciple swept the walkway, the dust swirling in the fading light. High above on the cliff that overlooked the entire outer sect, Yun Chungwon stood in silence, fists clenched tightly at his sides. His eyes burned with determination as he stared down at the sprawling compound below. Just then, a familiar voice bellowed from behind him. You rotten bastard. Startled, Chungwon flinched, spinning around. He was so deep in thought that he hadn't noticed the voice of Zhang Sanfeng, echoing once more from the rock beside him, a rock on which Chungwon had etched a truly hideous caricature of the old man. Zhang continued furiously, Are your hands just for decoration? Chungwon stepped toward the rock, scratching his head sheepishly. Ah? Ah? To hell with your ah. Do I, Zhang Sanfeng, look like that? Chungwon chuckled nervously, still grinning. I have a question, master. Stop smiling while looking at that damn drawing. It pisses me off. Still sparkling with curiosity, Chungwon asked, If what you said is true, you're really in the heavenly realm right now, right? Zhang replied with a huff, Yes-o. That's incredible. Chungwon muttered to himself. Then, it must be real. Zhang raised a brow. What are you rambling about now? I mean paradise. Chungwon exclaimed. They say it's this wonderful, beautiful place. As he spoke, a vivid image formed in his mind of golden skies, floating palaces, and serene landscapes. Zhang looked thoroughly unimpressed. Paradise? It's shit. Sure what? Chungwon cried, visibly shaken. I said it's shit. Zhang yelled again, voice echoing through the canyon. Chungwon looked disillusioned. How could you say something like that? Aren't you an immortal? So what? Zhang scoffed. You think being an immortal makes everything nice? I've got the lowest status up there. He ranted on. Bodhidharma plows fields all day under the blazing sun. The heavenly demon, yes, the heavenly demon, is still busy carrying buckets of shit. And don't get me started on that bastard when he drinks. He got drunk, sprayed sewage water on a bunch of the hell guys. They've been pissed ever since. Ugh, my head. Chungwon stood frozen, a large shadowy image of a demonic face forming behind him as he whispered in terror, the heavenly demon? Paradise is a terrifying place, he muttered under his breath. Zhang grumbled as he paced. I thought I'd get used to it. But I passed away like an idiot, and I don't even have a successor. Through the celestial mirror, he eyed Chungwon's projection and sighed. If only I had a successor, this wouldn't be so miserable. But to think you're the youngest. Still muttering, he pulled at his beard. So stressful. Chungwon waved beside his ear. Master? I can't hear you. Zhang glanced at him sideways. Still, you've got a bit of potential. Pardon? Chungwon asked. Zhang leaned closer to the projection. I don't know what that celestial mirror did to break through the heavenly barrier and create this strange link between us. But there must be a reason. Maybe it's causality at work. Chungwon shivered. Did I overdo it? Wait, celestial mirror? Heavenly barrier? What are you talking about? Zhang waved him off. It's nothing. See you tomorrow. As the moon set, morning arrived, bathing the outer sect in golden light. Disciples of Wudang began their daily routines, practicing sword forms and stances across the training fields. Chungwon's voice narrated in thought, some of us here are genuinely interested in martial arts. But for others, especially the sons of wealthy families, joining the outer sect is just a status symbol. Even with strong connections, second and third sons are treated as burdens. But where there is light, there is also darkness. The scene shifted to Yoon Sihu, orangey, seated on a throne-like bench, a smug grin on his face. The shadows of various bladed weapons loomed menacingly behind him. He was a disciple of the prestigious Deok Pung Yoon clan. Chungwon continued, then there are deviants, people like Yoon Sihu. And everyone hates me for standing up to him. That's probably why they keep their distance. He stood alone at the edge of the training grounds, eyes on the crowd that whispered and glared at him behind his back. Yoon Sihu, there's no way that guy's letting this go. He'll come for revenge, and I need to be ready. His expression darkened with resolve, a storm brewing behind his gaze. Inside the inner court medical hall, Yoon Sihu, orangey, sat wrapped in bandages, fists trembling in fury. His jaw clenched as his eyes burned with humiliation and rage. Footsteps echoed. You seem pretty angry, said a calm voice. Orangey looked up. A composed man entered, hands behind his back. He wore the robes of an elder, a wry smile curling on his lips. This was Shin Jae-hyun, the whole leader. I'll let you take action, Shin said, his tone casual. So calm down. Orangey grimaced through the pain. I can't be satisfied with a normal punishment. Shin chuckled knowingly. Of course not. This involves the Deok Pung Yoon clan's eldest son, after all. With a glint in his eye, he leaned closer. By the way, about what I asked earlier. Ahem. Ahem. Orangey cut in with a glare. Damn Taoist, he thought. I spoke with my father. He promised to support me. You'll get your answer in a few days. Shin's smile widened. He reached into his pocket and placed a small ornate box on the table. Inside was a glowing pink orb, softly pulsating with light. Take it, Shin said. The orb's aura flooded the room. Orangey's eyes widened. This is... It's my sincerity, offered to the Deok Pung Yoon family's eldest son, Shin said, grinning. A rare elixir. Swallow it whole. Orangey didn't hesitate. He grabbed it and threw it into his mouth. The moment it hit his stomach, it burned through his insides, releasing a thick pink mist that surged through his veins. His eyes glowed. Muscles flexed. Veins bulged. Clenching his teeth, he roared. Yun Chungwon. Back at the outer sect fields. Yun Chungwon sat in a wide field, a stick dangling from his lips. The wind rustled the grass as he listened to the voice coming from the grotesque rock carving of Zhang Sanfeng. Want to know how to win against Orangey? The ghostly voice asked. Yes, Chungwon replied seriously. Because unless he lets his guard down, I don't stand a chance. Oh ho, that's a pretty objective judgment, Zhang said with a laugh. Back in the heavenly realm, Zhang continued, shaking his head, if you two fight again, he'll probably hit you as many times as he can, just to vent. Please stop teasing me, master, Chungwon groaned. Is there any way I can win? Of course there is, Zhang replied smugly. Really? Chungwon's eyes sparkled with excitement, leaning in too close to the rock. Get your face away from me, it's gross. Zhang barked. Anyway, listen carefully. I'll teach you how to make poison. Put it in that bastard's food. And when he wakes up a few months later, beat him up. Pardon. Chungwon blinked, sweat beading on his temple. Are my skills that bad? Do I even need to answer? Zhang deadpanned. Every time you perform Taiji Fist, I want to gouge out my own eyes. The rock illustration mimicked the sentiment, gouging out its own eyes while muttering, like this. Infuriated, Chungwon stuck out his tongue. Humph. Mad now? Zhang asked, grinning. Ignoring him, Chungwon muttered, isn't there any martial art in paradise to fix your bad manners? Oh, speaking of that. Zhang said with exaggerated excitement. I was going to teach you something, consider it our master-disciple commemoration. Chungwon lit up. Seriously? Dancing around weirdly in the heavenly realm, Zhang declared, this is the martial art I created myself. Though which hand was it? Been a while. MC sneaks away. Just as Chungwon tried to quietly shuffle away, Zhang caught him. Where do you think you're going? Ah well, Chungwon stalled. I was just shocked to be offered something so grand. Good heavens, how shocking. I can't tell him I felt like I was wasting time doing something useless. But Zhang, no fool, narrowed his eyes. You're hiding something. Brushing that aside, he gestured. Si. Cross your legs. Chungwon obeyed as Zhang began forming a series of precise martial gestures in front of the celestial mirror. His eyes gleamed. Now that you've accepted my teaching, you are officially my disciple, he said with eerie calm. Got it. Pardon. Chungwon blinked, uneased. Why is it getting cold all of a sudden? Zhang clapped his hands. A glowing blue energy orb formed, swirling with light. Take this, he shouted as the orb shot through the celestial mirror, slamming into Chungwon's forehead with force. Ack. Chungwon jolted, pressure building around him. This is a cultivation technique, Zhang declared. The teaching. The enlightenment. The guide for those walking the righteous path. Don't take even a single letter lightly. Chungwon groaned under the weight, but endured. Moments later, he broke through. Zhang stroked his beard. Good. You can stand now. It'll be hard to completely handle this yet, but it'll protect you during training. Get rid of your bad habits. But before he could finish, Chungwon remained seated. Ha! The glow around him intensified. His eyes snapped open, and he found flower petals in his hands. Eh? Zhang's eyes widened in shock. Well, wait a second. Chungwon, try this. Yes, master. Chungwon replied eagerly. He stood, tossed the petals into the air, and performed a martial routine. The leaves whirled, glowing blue, forming a rotating energy star in the sky. Chungwon closed his eyes, cultivating while standing. Zhang gasped. Impossible. Sweating, he issued more tests. Chungwon complied flawlessly. Try creating ripples, tiny waves on water surface. Focus it all on your fingertip. Chungwon obeyed. He pointed. A blinding light shot out. The ripple blasted forward. He stared at his glowing finger. This is, he whispered. Zhang laughed, nearly choking. To think even great waves are possible. And for the next few days, master and disciple trained, Zhang astounded, and Chungwon growing stronger by the moment. After intense training. By now, Yun Chungwon's shirt had been torn to shreds from the sheer force of the techniques he and Master Zhang had been testing. His body steamed slightly, the after-effects of vigorous cultivation still lingering. Opening his eyes with determination, he asked. Master Zhang, can I beat Orangey now? Humph, Zhang grunted, arms folded. No outer disciple can stand against you anymore. You've mastered the lucid cultivation technique. You won't be distracted by trivial emotions ever again. Grinning proudly, he pointed to himself. Just like me. Meanwhile, a few minutes later, Master Zhang bit his ghostly finger, visibly anxious and fidgeting. I told him not to go. Why did that idiot go? Down in the real world, Yun Chungwon stood before Hall leader Shin Jaehyun inside his grand office. The elder casually sipped tea. What do you mean, descend the mountain? Chungwon asked, narrowing his eyes. In the heavenly realm, Master Zhang screamed. Wudang is a damn mess now. Dimwit, Shin said coldly, putting down his cup. This is exactly why you've achieved nothing. His gaze sharpened. I'm telling you to go down the mountain, and never come near this place again. Yun's jaw tightened. Is it because of Yoon Si-hoo? His voice deepened, burning with righteous fury. Discrimination based on background. Has the Wudang sect always been this kind of place? Shin's forehead twitched. A vein bulged. A murderous aura filled the room. Slam. His hand struck the table. You cocky bastard, he shouted. How dare you insult the Wudang sect? Rage boiling, he pointed toward the door. Get lost. Letting you off without punishment is my final mercy. Chungwon opened his mouth to retort, then stopped himself. Hold it in, he thought, gritting his teeth. If I hadn't learned the lucid cultivation technique, I would have lost my mind just now. Still releasing a chilling killing intent of his own, he turned around. With a final glare, he opened the door and walked out. Behind him, Hall leader Shin sat trembling ever so slightly. I must endure it for now, he muttered, eyes glinting with malice. Just you wait. I'll make sure you regret this. That night, at the base of the mountain, under the pale moonlight, Yun walked down the mountain trail with his travel bag over his shoulder. Master Zhang hovered beside him, still ranting. I knew it. That bastard Shin Jaehyun, throwing my disciple out? Insolent dog. Still smiling to himself, Yun replied calmly. Still, it's kind of a relief. Relief? What's so damn relieving about this? Chungwon chuckled. I mean, I finally called you master properly. Master Zhang paused. It'd be weird to keep calling you ancestor, after getting kicked out of the Wudang sect. He dropped his bag with a soft thud, turning back to face the mountaintop. Kneeling on the ground, he bowed deeply. Master. Even though I'm leaving Wudang now, your disciple Yun Chungwon would like to offer the 9-bow ritual. His voice rang with clarity. Heh. A familiar voice cut through the silence. Orangey Yoon Si-hoo appeared, grinning like a maniac. Well, what's this? Bowing down to apologize for your mistake. He approached, flanked by 3 sneering outer disciples. If you're going to kneel, you should do it properly. To me, he added smugly. Chungwon glanced sideways, still on his knees, expression blank. Cracking his knuckles, Orangey sneered, beg for forgiveness, and I might go easy on you, after a few beatings. Chungwon stood slowly, dusting off his ruined robes. Orangey, he said calmly. Do you want to get beaten again? Orangey's face twisted in rage. You little. Beat him up. The 3 disciples rushed forward with a roar. But Chungwon didn't move. Then, I can see everything, he said. Dodging effortlessly, he weaved through their attacks like wind through grass. From above, Master Zhang cackled. Of course. That's why it's called lucidity. Chungwon counterattacked in a blur, swift strikes, precise kicks, explosive force. One by one, the attackers were sent flying in all directions, slamming into trees, rolling across the ground, groaning in pain. Silence. Only Yun Chungwon stood, hands on his hips, chest rising and falling calmly. He turned to the speechless Orangey. What are you doing just standing there? He asked. He raised a hand, gesturing him forward. Come at me, will you? Orangey versus Yun Chungwon, the rematch. Orangey sighed, then clenched his fists, fury distorting his features. You foolish bastard. His chi ignited, swirling violently around his hands. With a growl, he charged toward Chungwon. I'll remind you of the old days. But Yun Chungwon didn't move. He simply watched, eyes cool. Veins popped across Orange's face. His sclera turned red. His irises glitched with a crimson glow, unstable, manic. Sensing danger, Master Zhang's voice rang out. Chungwon, watch out. That bastard, he's got the eyes of someone on drugs. Yes, Master, Chungwon replied, focused. Orangey closed in, red light trailing behind his frame like a cursed comet. Bloodshot eyes. Enhanced speed. Insane footwork. Could he be combining bow steps and weighted palm? Chungwon muttered to himself. Watch for it. Wait for the moment when he blocks, then snatch it away like a hook. He tossed a stick to test Orangey's response. Crack. Orangey shattered it mid-stride. Chungwon nodded to himself. Feel then. With a subtle shift of his foot, he dodged at the last second. I can just dodge. Caught completely off guard, Orangey stumbled, his eyes wide with shock. And then, comprehend. Master Zhang completed the thought with a grin. Intuitive lucidity. Orangey's mind reeled. What the? This isn't right. Just then. Trip. Yun Chungwon hooked Orangey's leg effortlessly. Thud. Orangey flew headfirst into the dirt. Groaning, he tried to sit up. Damn it. Even after taking elixirs, why can't I land a single hit? Chungwon looked down at him. Stop it. Trying to suppress me with brute force. That's not the martial arts of the Wudang sect. For a moment behind him, the spectral form of Master Zhang appeared, arms crossed, eyes proud. Orangey growled. Fist clenched, he scooped up sand with his free hand. What the hell are you on about? He flung the sand into Chungwon's face. Arrogant bastard. Chungwon reeled, temporarily blinded. He raised an arm defensively as Orangey charged again, shouting. No one's a fool in a fight, idiot. You're right, Chungwon said through gritted teeth. Thunk. A rock soared through the air and slammed straight into Orangey's forehead. Guh. He stopped in his tracks, dazed, blinking. Was that a rock? Still confused, he didn't notice Chungwon step in, grab him by the collar. Opening one eye, dust still in the other, Chungwon drew his fist back. So this is where you were hiding. Well, wait. No. Bam. A clean, crushing gut punch sent Orangey crashing to his knees. He coughed, eyes bulging. Clutching his stomach, he writhed. Chungwon slung his bag over his shoulder, turned to walk. Don't appear in front of me again unless you want to get trampled. Orangey gasped, rage rising. Yo, you little. Stop. But Chungwon was already walking away. His name echoed in the dark. Yun. Chungwon. Meanwhile, in the heavenly realm, Master Zhang belched loudly, patting his stomach with immense satisfaction. 10 years of chronic qi congestion gone. He looked around, dazed. Was the heavenly realm always this beautiful? Reality snapped back. Beads of sweat formed on his forehead. He cleared his throat, flustered. Ahem. Listen up, brat. His tone shifted to solemnity. In orthodox martial arts, your only true opponent is yourself. Refining martial arts is refining the self. It shouldn't just be about defeating others. Got it? Chungwon's voice echoed from the mortal realm. Yes. I'm aware of that too. Are you? Master Zhang asked, eyeing Chungwon's hologram. The projection faced away, arms folded. Of course. I did learn that much. Really? Zhang asked again, unconvinced. I'm worried this brat's going to get so violent, he won't be able to ascend to heaven. He leaned in close, eyes sparkling, breath hot. But you. I really want to have you. Chungwon shivered. Where's that warm wind coming from? He muttered, face twisted in discomfort. It feels upsetting. Just as Master Zhang returned to reality, he suddenly remembered an errand the Jade Emperor had assigned to him. I'll have to finish that up, he muttered, turning to Yun Chungwon. I'll be back soon. You stay safe at home in the meantime. Yes, Master, Chungwon replied. Zhang skidded gleefully out of the gazebo, visibly thrilled. If I just raise this brat well, he said to himself, I'll finally escape being the youngest in heaven. But someone was watching. Just beyond the trees, a figure in a brown robe with a wooden staff stood quietly, his face mostly hidden in shadow. He narrowed his eyes. What's that guy Sanfeng doing down there? Back on Earth, in Shenyang County, Chungwon stepped into his family's compound. 3 people awaited him at the gate, his father Yun Kyung, his mother Hon Suki, and his younger brother Yun Chungwoo. I'm back, he said softly. His little brother beamed and ran straight into his arms. Big brother. Chungwon patted his head. His father placed a firm hand on his shoulder. It's a relief, Kyung said, to see someone who set out to become a martial artist return safe and sound. Chungwon lowered his gaze, disappointed. I have no excuses, father. But Kyung simply grinned. If it's as you said, then it's Wudang sect that's lacking, not you. Tears welled up in Hon Suki's eyes. Your father couldn't sleep a wink after we heard the news, she said, wiping her face. Oh ho, cut it will you? Kyung muttered, clearly embarrassed. Chungwon looked between them, slightly teary-eyed. He must have been really worried, he thought. He's still just as gentle as ever, trying to keep up that stern facade. Then his father spoke again. Go greet your grandfather. Chungwon bowed and walked toward the back study. Grandpa, I'm home, he called. Welcome back, Yun Jaeum replied without looking up from his books. Jaeum was the person who had most inspired Chungwon's admiration for martial artists, and Chungwon stood there waiting, hoping to hear something reassuring. Jaeum finally glanced his way. If everything had gone smoothly, you wouldn't be back yet. Were you kicked out? Chungwon hesitated. Yes, that's what happened. Jaeum didn't flinch. Was it your fault? I did something, Chungwon said. But it wasn't really my fault. That's fine then, the old man said, returning to his shelf. What are you planning to do now? Chungwon looked at his grandfather's back and replied, I think I'll stay at home for a while. Jaeum turned fully toward him, his eyes sharp. Does that mean you've given up on becoming a martial artist? He spoke firmly. Chungwon, do you remember what I said back then? Chungwon nodded and completed the sentence for him. You don't have to live a grand life if that's not what you want. He smiled. I'll support you, even if you choose to hold the sword instead of the brush. Jaeum's lips curled into a slight smile. But his stern tone returned. So? Are you really giving up that easily? I haven't given up, Chungwon replied. Determination lit his face. I have a goal. Things happened, and I had to come back, but I'm going to persevere. Jaeum studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod. I see. You may go. As Chungwon left, the old man gazed out the window. He looked me straight in the eyes, Jaeum thought. When did my grandson grow this much? Out in the courtyard, Chungwon let out a breath. Now that the big stuff's over, I can't slack off on training. He tapped his chest and looked around. A stone slab caught his eye, a flat rock, perfect for practice. He approached it and began training alone until sundown. As he cultivated, he reflected. Thanks to the lucid cultivation technique, that talk with Grandpa went more smoothly than I expected. He's a good man, but I always get nervous around him. Just as he finished the thought, a voice echoed in his head. How talented is he, that you're laying such a vast foundation on him? Chungwon, still sitting cross-legged, eyes shut, was startled. Master? The voice laughed. Or. Elsewhere in the celestial realm, the man in the brown robe with the walking stick continued to follow Master Zhang silently. As he walked closer to a shimmering celestial mirror, his voice echoed in the void. Lucid cultivation technique. Is this body built on the Tao-crafted clandestine technique, reinforced with strength reversal and supplemented by the yogic arts of Tianju? His bald head shone faintly, and 2 golden hoops on his staff clanked together. Chungwon, sensing the presence, opened one eye. You're back already? You were speaking as if you'd be gone a long time. Oh ho? The voice replied again, amused. Your way of speaking's become quite unique. A laugh followed. Then finally the figure revealed his face, a huge bald head with a thick black beard, sitting awkwardly. Atop a lanky, almost disproportionate frame, clad in full monk's regalia. He gazed down at the projection of Chungwon through the celestial mirror. "Can you hear me?" And then, at last, a name was spoken. He was Bodhidharma. As Yun Chungwon sat cross-legged, he furrowed his brow. The strange way of speaking, it still sounded like Master Zhang. Still under the impression it was him, Chungwon sighed and muttered, "Stop joking around, master." He stood up, stretching his arms, feeling the stiffness in his back. Meanwhile, the old man in monk's robes, Dharma, continued his string of delighted ohos, each more amused than the last. Already feeling drained by the act, Chungwon muttered under his breath, Yes, you must have been quite bored, master." He exhaled heavily. "Even so, disturbing my training like this is a bit." Dharma, whose face was now nearly pressed against the celestial mirror, beamed. His blue neon-lit eyes sparkled as he soaked in the moment. It had been ages since someone last called him master. His entire aura shimmered with delight. Out loud he said, "Master, please speak like you did before. More comfortably." Instead of calming down, Dharma's excitement intensified. He leaned closer into the mirror, his eyes glowing with blue fire. "Should I teach you a martial art technique?" he asked, his voice almost trembling with anticipation. The question struck a bell deep within Chungwon. His eyes widened, reason temporarily overridden by pure awe. "I'd gladly accept it, master," he blurted, completely dazzled. "Please tease me all you want." Dharma practically glowed with joy. His body suddenly swelled, muscles expanding, veins bulging, until his already tight monk robes shredded under the pressure. Golden light pulsed from his body in radiant waves. "It's good to hear someone call me master again," Dharma declared. A golden aura spiraled around him as he raised one massive arm and took a martial stance. His posture alone radiated divine authority. "I'll keep showing it to you until you master it," he said solemnly. "So take your time and learn it well." With that, he channeled his cultivation energy through the celestial mirror. A dim golden orb formed, floating above the mirror's surface before slowly drifting downward toward Chungwon. As the light entered his chest, Chungwon's thoughts sharpened. "This is strange." The golden orb pulsed within him, spreading waves of light through his torso. As it settled deeper, ripples of energy spread outward in concentric circles. His body glowed in response. "Every time this transmission touches my body," he thought, "I feel something solid forming inside me. Like a core." The vision grew clearer in his mind. A golden tree of light emerged, its radiant roots digging deep into the ground, with Chungwon at its center. The imagery was powerful, ancient, divine. An unwavering, firm foundation, he thought. Just like the earth. His eyes snapped open, now glowing gold. A golden halo flared into view behind his head. His entire body shimmered with celestial aura, and for a moment, he looked less like a martial artist and more like a newly risen god. As Chungwon continued his cultivation, streams of golden script flowed into him, swirling through the air like calligraphy alive with divine energy. The golden aura surrounding him grew thicker, denser, creating ripples of concentric golden rings that expanded outward like waves from a thrown stone. When the session finally concluded, he opened his eyes again, blinking in awe at the glowing residue still clinging to his skin. "Master, what is this?" he asked, his gaze fixed on his hands. It felt as if the very chi around him was melting into his body, becoming not just energy, but blood and flesh. In response, the bald man watching through the celestial mirror, his face now rejuvenated and radiant, spoke with quiet pride. "It's called Earth Essence," he said. "The martial art is known as the Earth Essence technique." Chungwon blinked, smiling as he flexed his fingers. "That name suits it perfectly," he said, his voice light and happy. "I felt something solid forming deep at my core. Like a foundation." Dharma's eyes widened, impressed. "To grasp the essence of a martial art in one go, you're a truly talented student," he said, clasping his hands in a prayer-like gesture. Towering over the celestial mirror, his massive frame remained half-naked and glowing with divine aura. Behind him, two radiant halo rings hovered like moons orbiting his shaved head. "I've been observing you for several days now," he added. "Now I understand why Sanfeng has been laying such a careful foundation beneath you." That's when it hit Chungwon. He stiffened. This isn't Master Zhang." Suddenly, the sound of weary footsteps echoed nearby. A ragged Master Zhang Sanfeng trudged into the gazebo, muttering about how the Jade Emperor had worked him half to death. He wiped sweat from his brow, then grinned as he remembered his precious disciple. Maybe I should go check on him, he said, rejuvenated by the thought. But then he glanced up, and froze. There, standing in front of the celestial mirror, was a massive bald man glowing with divine energy. Master Zhang's expression twisted into pure horror. His mouth fell open. What the hell are you doing to my disciple? He shouted. Dharma blinked, startled by the sudden outburst. Chungwon jolted at the sound. That voice, it's Master Zhang Sanfeng, he cried. Zhang stormed into the gazebo, throwing a fit as he tried to push Dharma aside. But it was hopeless. Dharma was simply too massive to budge. Furious, Zhang stomped the ground. Old man, move out of the way. Chungwon, still trying to process the situation, repeated the name he'd just heard. Dharma? The narration took over then. They called him Bodhidharma in Sanskrit, Bodhidharma in the Central Plains. A legendary martial master known simply as Dharma. Founder of the Gates of Shaolin, he had once meditated in a small forest on Mount Song. He was the North Star of Mount Tai, the revered origin of a martial lineage that had inspired generations. The scene shifted to show a comically exaggerated image of Dharma's real appearance, a big-headed monk with balloon-like ears on a lean, absurdly small body. Despite the image, the reverence in the narration was unmistakable. Meanwhile, Master Zhang, still livid, turned to Chungwon, veins bulging. So what did you learn? Scratching the back of his head, Chungwon mumbled, something called the Earth Essence Technique? The gazebo was suddenly bathed in a faint blue light. Dharma, still calm, finally moved to one side of the celestial mirror, leaving space for Master Zhang. The old Wudang master slammed his palm on the mirror's surface and shouted. AGH. It's supposed to be called the Earth Core Divine Technique, you old man. The two stood glaring at each other across the celestial screen. Chungwon, now a little panicked, spoke up. If the two techniques share the same root, they can probably harmonize. But now that I've learned both Wudang and Shaolin methods, if they clash, wouldn't that be terrible? He looked genuinely distressed. In that case, maybe I should stop practicing the Earth Essence, Earth Core Divine Technique. But just then, Master Zhang's voice came firm and decisive. No. Learn it. Chungwon blinked, confused. What? Really? Still fuming, Zhang folded his arms. It's annoying, but that old man refined the technique well. It fills in the gaps you're missing. And it even smooths out areas that would have clashed with your lucid cultivation technique. Now that you've seen a better method, you can't just throw it away. Chungwon looked up in awe. Master Zhang Sanfeng, it must have hurt his pride. Someone else showed his disciple a better way. The sky turned a gentle blue above, clouds swirling into the faint outline of Zhang Sanfeng's silhouette. Chungwon continued thinking. And yet, despite that, he's willing to accept it, for my sake. He values my growth more than his pride. Clenching his fist with renewed resolve, he turned toward his master. But then Master Zhang snapped, "What's with that expression?" Tears streamed down Chungwon's cheeks, his nose running. "I'm just moved," he blubbered. Zhang groaned. "You get moved by the strangest things." Clearing his throat, he glanced sideways at Dharma and muttered, "I do feel a little bad for him." Chungwon, curious, asked, "Master, are you indebted to Dharma or something?" Dharma, as always, remained serene. The muscle metamorphosis art was incorporated into the lucid cultivation technique you learned. Zhang flinched and stumbled over his words. "Indebted? In no way. It's just..." But before he could finish, Chungwon shrieked, "And muscle metamorphosis art? Are you saying I learned that?" A blue aura radiated through Master Zhang's body and eyes as he finally admitted, "Yes. Since I couldn't fully treat your frail body with Taoist training alone, I incorporated a few elements of the muscle metamorphosis art into the lucid cultivation technique, and passed it on to you." Chungwon blinked, stunned. Then, acting innocent, he muttered, "Isn't that plagiarism?" Zhang's eyes narrowed. "What's with that face?" Bowing quickly and shaking, Chungwon replied, "Thank you so much. You're truly amazing, master." Despite the gratitude in his voice, he couldn't stop sweating as he looked up again. "But, is it really okay for me to learn the muscle metamorphosis art?" Master Dharma, who had been silently glaring at everyone with glowing golden eyes, suddenly gave an approving OK sign with his fingers, golden aura flickering around him. Zhang nodded, though he muttered under his breath, "Your second master, the one who created it, has already granted you permission." Then awkwardly adding, "To the first master though." Interrupting smoothly, Dharma added, "It's better not to reveal this in public." His glowing golden eyes narrowed even further, his gaze like daggers. "Shaolin tends to attract some tough guys." He proceeded to casually describe the kind of dialogue that would follow should someone dare mention his name, ending with, "And that's when they beat the crap out of you." Chungwon, now visibly shaking, thought to himself, "Honestly, if I heard someone say that, I'd probably get mad and smash their head in two." But then, a crazed grin spread across his face. "But who cares? I've got two legendary masters backing me." With a proud and determined gleam in his eyes, he took a deep greeting pose. "Disciple Yun Chungwon greets my two masters. It is an immense honor to be under both of you." Zhang crossed his arms smugly. "Of course it is." Chungwon blinked. "Their pride is through the roof." Clearing his throat, Zhang regained a serious tone. "From now on, I'll teach you in a way that harmonizes as much as possible with Buddhist martial arts. Absorb everything I teach you." Dharma laughed, his tone light. "Study hard. I'll do my best to teach you well." Beaming, Chungwon shouted, "That's what I've been hoping for. All the hardships I've faced, they're over now. From here on out, it's going to be a walk in the park." 1 month later, Chungwon was in hell. Sweating, shaking, and gritting his teeth, he balanced on a single thin stick perched on a thicker one, while spiked iron swords covered the entire ground beneath him, pointing toward the sky like a forest of death. On his shoulders, he carried a heavy wooden beam, large rocks of equal size tied on each end like a training yoke. Master Zhang's voice echoed coldly, "Do not lose focus on your breathing. Not even a little. One mistake, and you'll end up a crippled fool." Zooming in, we see Chungwon's face, veins bulging, eyes teary, nose dripping. He trembled with every muscle, sweating like a waterfall. This isn't a walk in the park, he thought. In his mind, he saw Zhang and Dharma waving towels as they welcomed him to the staircase of boiling fire. It's walking on hot coals. Falling forward, he barely made it down. He dropped the weight with a gasp, sprawling on the floor, arms and legs spread out as he heaved for air. "Who said you could rest?" Zhang's voice thundered like a lightning strike. Chungwon jolted upright. "Yes, master." Next up, a line of towering tree trunks, 3 times taller than he was. Each was arranged linearly, with a pendulum trap loaded with swinging rocks attached to ropes at chest height. Chungwon stood ready, adjusting the mechanism. Then he leapt onto the first pillar. Whish. Swoosh. Bam. Massive stones swung toward him with brutal speed. Dodging and jumping from pillar to pillar, the rocks smashed and splintered the bark all around. Blue aura trailed behind Chungwon like ribbons of light. As he jumped off the final pillar, the stones collided behind him, annihilating the last trunk. Landing hard, Chungwon stood still, panting. His thoughts returned. If the lucid cultivation technique nurtures the mind and spirit. He clenched his fist, golden light surging from within. Then the earth core divine technique strengthens the body. With a burst of aura, he smashed the falling stones into dust, golden energy radiating around him like an expanding sun. Like the vastness of the earth that embraces all. His muscles pulsed, his veins thrummed. The golden tree from his earlier vision flickered briefly behind him. Thanks to this, even my body's recovery speed has increased. Still drenched in sweat and gasping for breath, Chungwon stumbled backward and collapsed against a nearby tree. Slumping down, he stared up at the sky between sharp, heaving breaths. My masters have been giving me just the right amount, he thought, not too much, not too little. He groaned as he slid lower against the bark, his muscles screaming in protest. They're training me just enough to keep me from dying. Exhausted, he sank to the forest floor. His chest rose and fell in ragged rhythm as he whispered to himself, I've thought about quitting, hundreds of times. But then, he looked at his clenched fist. The reason I haven't given up. In his mind, 2 familiar faces flashed, Whole Leader Shin, smirking with condescension, and Yoon Sihu, orangey, grinning with that infuriating confidence. Chungwon's expression hardened. Is to prove them wrong. Before the moment could settle, 2 voices barked in unison from the training ground's edge. Keep moving. There's still time before you can rest. It was both Master Zhang and Master Dharma, their voices cutting like whips. Chungwon flinched, trembling as tears welled in the corners of his eyes. He whimpered, "Yes, masters," and began forcing himself back onto his feet. But something shifted. A strange sensation pricked at the back of his neck. His breath caught. He glanced toward the trees. Somewhere beyond the bush, a figure cloaked in black zipped silently through the dense forest, moving with practiced precision. Landing lightly on one hand and one knee, the masked figure paused and surveyed the chaos of the broken training grounds. "This is the place," he muttered, eyes narrowing. "Where that guy's training." But as he took in the deep scars across the ground, the shattered rocks, splintered logs, and collapsed targets, his voice faltered. "Is this really the place where that bastard is training?" Unseen behind him, a shadow stirred. Chungwon had already crept up, eyes sharp and body tense. His voice came out low and close. "Who are you?" The intruder reacted immediately, attempting to elbow Chungwon in the ribs without looking, but missed. His elbow sliced through air as he spun in a full turn, only to find nothing there. His eyes widened. Too late. A presence loomed behind him. Before he could react again, Chungwon landed a solid kick to his back, sending him flying several meters before the intruder managed to roll and land safely on his feet. He crouched, panting, a thin trail of sweat running down his cheek as he stared at his attacker. Slowly, he stood and reached for his mask. With a flick, he pulled it down below his chin, revealing sharp features and a faint, almost amused smile. "You've improved a lot in a short time," he said, his voice calm. Then he spoke the name clearly. "Yeon Shang-won." Just then, the intruder pulled down his mask with a grin, revealing his identity. It was Baek Muho. Chungwon blinked in surprise. Baek Muho? The name echoed in his mind as the white aura began to swirl around Muho's body. Chungwon narrated internally, explaining that Muho was his best friend, the eldest son of the Baek clan, a prestigious escort family known throughout Shenyang. But more importantly, among all the people I know, he paused, watching the white glow intensify, he's the most outstanding genius. Muho cracked his knuckles and stepped into a martial stance, grinning as ever. "I just wanted to say a quick hello, but you dodged me, didn't you?" Chungwon narrowed his eyes. "No," he corrected himself mentally. "He's not a genius. He's the craziest bastard I know." Still smiling, Muho called out, "Let's see if you can dodge this too." He dashed forward without hesitation, launching into a flurry of blinding hand movements, chaotic blossoms hand strikes. The strikes came in waves, too many to count, each with a distinct hand form and flourish. Chungwon leapt back, narrowly dodging the first set, but Muho gave him no time to rest. He was relentless, pressing forward with seamless transitions between strikes. Chungwon, dodging with increasing difficulty, narrated to himself that the chaotic blossoms hand strikes was Muho's improvised version of the plum blossoms hand strikes from Mount Hua. It was flashy, unpredictable, but through the chaos, one pattern stood out. In the ever-changing hand movements, his gaze sharpened as a glow pulsed in his eyes, violet light flickering. The places with the least change are the elbows. As Muho closed in again, Chungwon struck with precision, grabbing both of Muho's elbows mid-strike. Caught off guard, Muho's eyes widened. Chungwon flipped him effortlessly, spinning him a full 360 before slamming him into the ground. His foot stopped just shy of Muho's head to soften the impact, protecting him even mid-counter. Muho, sprawled on the ground, laughed haughtily. "It's been a while," Chungwon grinned, extending a hand. The sky above cleared, and the light breeze blew gently as the two walked side by side down a forest path. Muho, rubbing his neck, muttered, "Is this how you're gonna act? If you came back, you should have come to see your big brother first." Chungwon, unfazed, placed his hands behind his head. "A genius like you wouldn't understand. I was kicked out, remember? How could I just show up like nothing happened?" Muho chuckled, clapping him on the shoulder. "Still, you've gotten insanely strong." Chungwon blinked. "Really?" Muho didn't answer aloud, but his thoughts betrayed his expression. To think Wudang kicked out someone like him. That sect must be crumbling. Then, glancing at Chungwon with curiosity and a hint of mischief, he added silently, "Letting talent like his rot out here is a waste." A grin formed on Muho's face. "I've got a great idea," he declared suddenly, before sprinting off. Chungwon called after him, startled. Where are you going? See you later. Muho shouted, waving as he vanished into the distance. Chungwon stared after him, completely thrown. Somehow, I don't have a good feeling about this. A few days later, Chungwon found himself asking, You want me to come with you? Muho, ever jolly, replied with a grin, yeah. Instead of sitting around at home, wouldn't it be better to get some real-world experience? As they strolled through a bustling marketplace, Chungwon mulled it over. Before he could decide, the voices of his two masters echoed in his head. Zhang Sanfeng grumbled, You definitely lack experience. And Dharma added with glee, This sounds like a great idea. Smiling at Muho, Chungwon finally nodded. All right. I'll come with you. Muho, as if he already knew the answer, beamed. Knew you would. Soon, the two stood in front of the Baek clan escort agency, looking up at the grand signboard. Chungwon narrated internally again, reflecting on how most of the trade in Sheonyang County flowed through the Baek clan's agency. Even with a ceasefire in place, the martial world was still filled with tension. Conflicts between orthodox, unorthodox, and demonic sects kept the peace fragile. In this world, he continued, merchants can't move safely without protection. That's why escort agencies like this hold so much influence. Through the celestial mirror's projection, Chungwon saw the agency's grounds, bustling and orderly. He tilted his head. This place is as grand as ever. Muho scoffed. Yeah. That's why it sucks every time we have to clean it. Elsewhere, the two masters watched the projection with grumpy expressions. Zhang Sanfeng muttered, Cleaning really is the worst. Dharma, now back to his disheveled skinny self, sighed. Even here, there's no end to chores. Back in the real world, Chungwon blinked in confusion. What the hell are they doing in paradise? He turned to Muho suspiciously. Hey, are they gonna ask me to do something weird here? Muho glanced at him, puzzled. Who are you talking to? Startled, Chungwon rubbed the back of his head. Don't mind me. I've been training alone too long. I tend to talk to myself now. Muho narrowed his eyes. Suspicious. As their bickering continued, a ripple passed through the courtyard. Everyone turned to look. A young woman walked gracefully toward them, and the moment she appeared, all eyes in the area were drawn to her. Her beauty was striking, her presence commanding. She stopped in front of them, smiling softly. You're here, Chungwon. Muho's expression immediately turned sour. Chungwon's eyes lit up as he stepped forward, brushing Muho aside. Big sis. It's been a while. The woman smiled back. Her name was Baek Seola, the eldest daughter of the Baek clan. Seola smiled warmly as she approached. You've changed quite a bit since the last time we saw each other. Grinning, Chungwon replied, Really? Have you been well, big sister? She blushed slightly and was about to respond when Muho suddenly cut in, imitating a feminine voice with exaggerated emotion. You don't know how much I cried every night when you were gone. When I heard you were coming, I couldn't sleep a wink. My skin turned into that of a grandmother. Laughing mischievously, Muho barely had time to duck before Seola punched him square in the face. Stop joking around. Turning back to Chungwon with a wave, she said, See you later. Yes, see you, he replied with a smile. As Seola walked off, Chungwon turned to Muho, who was now lying flat on the ground, dazed and soulless after her punch. You all right? Chungwon asked. Muho didn't respond, his spirit had clearly left his body. Suddenly, heavy footsteps approached. A cheerful, booming voice called out, Oh ho. If it isn't Chungwon. It's been a while. The man who approached looked like an older, broader version of Muho. He was introduced as Baek Jinsung, the leader of the Baek clan escort agency. Clapping Chungwon on the back with a force that nearly knocked the wind out of him, Jinsung laughed heartily. Chungwon's eyes bulged from the impact, and a thin trickle of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ooh, you've gotten pretty toned, Jinsung observed. I was worried when I first heard you wanted to tag along with Muho, but it looks like I didn't need to be. Still reeling, Chungwon pointed to himself with smoke rising from his back. Pardon? I did what? Nearby, Muho looked away and pretended not to hear a thing. Chungwon grit his teeth, glaring at him. That son of a bitch. He just volunteered me without asking. Scanning the area, he noticed the other escorts eyeing him coldly. Their expressions ranged from irritation to open hostility. No wonder they were all glaring at me like I'm some freeloader, he thought. They probably think I'm some brat who got in through connections. Jin-sung suddenly slung an arm around Chung-won's shoulder. Of course, I think you look qualified. But my opinion isn't the only one that matters. Chung-won looked up at him. Then, who should I prove myself to? Anyone who's dissatisfied, Jin-sung replied with a grin. Or better yet, all of them. Chung-won looked out over the gathered escorts. Their expressions hardened. They weren't just skeptical, they were openly hostile. One man in particular stepped forward. His face was twisted in anger, veins bulging on his forehead, fists clenched. A faint red aura pulsed around him as he thought, he looks like the kind of brat who thinks anyone can just waltz in and work at an escort agency. Even I had to go through fierce competition just to barely earn a spot here, he seethed. And this guy thinks he can just show up? His rage deepened as he glanced toward Seola, recalling how Chung-won had smiled at her earlier. And now he's eyeing the young miss? His fists clenched tighter. I can't forgive this. Baek Jin-sung turned to the group. So, who wants to go first? The furious escort stepped forward immediately, volunteering without hesitation. Let's see how smug this brat is after I put him in his place. He approached Chung-won, still fuming. A coward who couldn't even survive the outer sect of Wudang has the nerve to look at her like that? He sneered. I heard you got kicked out of Wudang's outer sect. Unfazed, Chung-won met his glare. And so what? That was the last straw. You rude little. The escort roared, charging in with a punch. Chung-won dodged with a grimace. The attack missed, but the escort didn't let up. He pressed forward, each blow more violent than the last. His attacks are overflowing with emotion, Chung-won thought as he slipped between the strikes. He really hates me. The escort lunged again. Chung-won dodged once more, his mind working quickly. He's not as strong as Muho, but he's serious. Every strike is meant to injure. The man growled, how long are you gonna keep dodging? Chung-won continued to evade the attacks while thinking. He's willing to hurt me. Just like I didn't hesitate when I fought Orangey because I had a grudge. But I don't feel that way about these guys. He ducked a wide swing. So how much force should I even use? Off to the side, Baek Jin-sung watched the fight with a disappointed look. Even if a man possesses claws sharp enough to tear through flesh and bone, he thought, arms crossed, the faint-hearted cannot wield them. His eyes stayed on Chung-won, who was still dodging, still hesitating. A fight that aims to hurt will only lead to hesitation if the fighter's mind is unsure. And thoughts like that, he narrowed his eyes, they create doubt. Doubt creates hesitation. And hesitation leads to defeat. Chung-won leapt back, widening the distance between himself and the escort, who was already poised for another attack. His chest rose and fell with each breath, his feet sliding into a defensive stance. Watching from the sidelines, Baek Jin-sung exhaled through his nose and closed his eyes. It's over, he thought grimly. Nearby, two escorts clicked their tongues in disappointment. What did I tell you? One scoffed. He's garbage. The other shrugged. What did you expect from someone who got in through connections? Muho, clearly concerned, narrowed his eyes. What's wrong with him? Cook, Chung-won grimaced, beads of sweat trickling down his face. What should I do? Suddenly, a thunderous roar exploded inside his head. Are you kidding me? Master Zhang's furious voice echoed through his mind, laced with veins of spiritual energy and rage. You're not hesitating because your opponent is stronger than you. He's a damn greenhorn. Do you want to die? Almost simultaneously, Master Dharma's voice followed, calmer but just as firm. To cultivate oneself, one must first cultivate the mind. Purify your thoughts, and your body will act accordingly. Chung-won's breath caught. He clenched a fist to his chest. The masters are right, he thought, grounding himself. It's not just about what others expect of me. His fingers tightened. Just as there are things that don't meet their standards, there are things I won't accept either. He remembered the scornful glares of the escorts, the way they looked at him like he didn't belong. I am the person who will inherit the strongest martial arts, he thought, and with that, he surged forward. As the escort lunged to meet him, Chungwon moved like lightning, catching the man's wrist mid-strike. My behavior is a reflection of those who trained me. I won't shame my masters with cowardice. A powerful blue aura ignited from his shoulder and flowed down to his hand like a divine current, swirling with intensity. His left eye glowed, the same piercing blue, burning with determination. Even if no one knows I'm their disciple, he thought as the aura flared around him, I carry their legacy. The escort froze, stunned by the sudden shift in energy. Chungwon grabbed him by the collar, twisted, and threw him clean into the air with a full body pivot. The man flipped a full 360 degrees before crashing into the ground with a sickening thud, his body bouncing once before going limp. Foam formed at the corner of his mouth as he passed out cold. The entire courtyard fell silent. The other escorts stared in disbelief, expressions frozen. Baek Jinsung blinked, clearly surprised. Even he hadn't expected this. But Muho? He smiled. This is what I was waiting for. And there stood Chungwon, calm, nonchalant, eyes steady, like he hadn't broken a sweat. Slowly, he turned to face the other escorts, their shocked eyes now locked on him.